Hi, this is Bruce Buffer, your voice of the Octagon, and you're listening to MMA Mental.
Right, we're now joined by a true MMA veteran and true MMA pioneer, fought in the UFC and Pride Fighting Championship right back in the day, Enson Inoue. I know we tried to get Enson on quite a while ago, so it's great to finally get you on. Thank you for joining us today, Enson.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Right, let's go back. I'd like to go back to the beginning, because I remember when I first started following the sport, and obviously you were one of the early kind of standouts for me with your debut in UFC, but more with what you did in Pride. So I'd like to find out what made you want to get into the sport, because obviously at that time it wasn't established at all. So what made you want to do mixed martial arts?
Well, I was already doing a lot of martial arts training for the streets in Hawaii, because in Hawaii we get into a lot of street fights. So I was actually training just for that. I got into the ring, eventually decided to get into the ring because I wanted to test myself in a situation where you had to control your nerves. And I played racquetball, I played baseball, I played sports, but I thought a hand-to-hand, man-to-man combat situation, one-on-one would be the ultimate test of controlling your emotions and your nerves.
Now, obviously, you obviously fought before you fought in UFC, but if I'm honest, the first time I saw you was at UFC 13, and you were facing a guy who was being touted quite a bit because he obviously had a wrestling base, and I believe, going on memory, he was training with one of the big wrestlers around at the time. But I mean, you literally come in and beat him very easily. Was you surprised at how, not the fact you beat him obviously, because I'm sure you going in were always going to be confident you were going to win, but were you surprised at how easy you won?
Well, the thing is with that is, I know there was a big hype about him because also Mark Coleman was in his corner, but the reason why I wasn't really surprised about how basic it was to beat him is because I always believed that at that time, wrestlers didn't understand the ground, and they are such confident people, wrestlers, that they really didn't think that jiu-jitsu was any danger, and I felt that it was still a time where wrestlers was taking it for granted, that the jiu-jitsu technique. So I felt wrestlers were very susceptible to arm bars, and arm bars was my pet move.
Yeah, and that's exactly, of course, what you got with. If I remember rightly, you went belly down as well, and you got that arm bar in. Now, obviously, that was part of a four-man tournament, but you didn't continue to the final. And, of course, there's a lot of stuff that went on back in those days that people obviously don't know about. What was the reason that you didn't go to the final? Because you didn't look like you got any injuries during your first fight.
Well, yeah, I don't remember really getting hit. I guess I must have got hit in the face a little bit, but I felt fine. Went back to the locker room after the fight. My brother Egan was helping me, relax, massage me for the next fight to relax, and then I made the MMA 101 worst. I broke the worst rule. The most basic rule they have is not to blow your nose after a fight. And I blew my nose, and apparently I had a hairline fracture on my cheekbone, and my eye filled up with air, and they called the doctor in, and they refused to let me fight.
Oh wow! You know what? I never knew that, and I always wondered why you didn't fight, because of course your replacement obviously went on to be, also went on to be one of the biggest names in the sport, because obviously you were replaced by Tito Ortiz, and he went on to face Guy Mezger. But I think yourself versus Guy Mezger would have been a very interesting matchup, because he was coming from one of the top camps at the time with the Lions Den. He had a very, very good stand-up game, but not necessarily a great ground game, obviously, which is what your strength was. I think it would have been a very interesting matchup, you and Guy Mezger.
It would have been. It would have been. He had a really rough one with the judo guy the round before, so I thought I had the upper hand, so I was kind of excited about the fight.
Yeah, I remember that fight. He went the distance with the judo guy, a guy called Christoph Leninger, and he went the distance with him. It was a real. I mean, he was always going to win the fight. He never looked in danger, but he made hard work of the fight. And obviously, on a night where you're supposed to fight twice, it probably didn't go as well as what he hoped.
Yeah.
Now, one of the other things, of course, that you're famed for before the Pride Fighting Championship was you faced probably one of the biggest legends in the sport, a man who went on to be one of the biggest legends in the sport, which was Randy Couture. And of course, you beat Randy Couture in Valley Judo by submission armbar. How did that fight kind of play out? And obviously, at the time, Randy Couture wasn't established then as what he is now, of course. But what was it like facing Randy Couture?
Well, I knew he was a really smart fighter, and I knew he wasn't going to really make any stupid mistakes. So I had just one game plan because he was pretty well rounded. I know his standing wasn't as good as his Greco-Roman. His ground was questionable, but I didn't want to try and force it to the ground because I knew his wrestling was really good. So my whole game plan was just to take it to him, come forward, aggress him no matter what position I'm in, and just so happened things just fell my way that night.
Now, of course, also, actually, your very next fight, I'm going on your resume, was in Pride Fighting Championship. But not just you, of course, fought in Pride. Your brother fought in Pride as well, Egan. What was it like having you and your brother both fighting in the same promotion at the same time?
It was a little hard because we're always in each other's corners, and we always watch over each other for the fight. So it was hard when we both had to kind of try and think of each other and still prepare for ours. It was really different, It was an experience, and I kind of didn't like it that much. I wanted to either be him or me,
Yeah, so you could either focus on him or he could help you focus on you. Now,
yeah, exactly.
You did fight in Pride and you fought a few times, but pretty much, you basically faced the biggest names in Pride at that time. I mean, you faced Mark Kerr, Igor Vovchanchyn, Heath Herring, Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira. I mean, they're four of the biggest names, especially in that era. What was it like being part of the Pride Fighting Championship and with what that went on to become at one time it was considered bigger than the UFC. What was it like being part of that?
It was awesome. The promotion. I heard a lot of American fighters were being, kind of bullied around by the Pride Association, but I got treated with a lot of respect. I was treated like a king. Fight money was good. Whenever I would fight, they never told me who I had to fight. They gave me a list of opponents to choose from, and I was treated really good. I mean, they never dicked me around at all.
Do you think that they obviously liked you as well because of your kind of, you always in a fight you're always aggressive, because you obviously get a lot of fighters that are sometimes submissive, and especially in Japan they never really look, and we spoke to a few guys that have fought in Japan, they all say the same. They don't really look at whether you win or lose. What they look at is whether is the performance you put on in the fight. They'd rather see you lose an exciting fight than win a boring fight. And obviously, I mean, your fights were all, full on, you giving it out and then obviously taking it as well. I think that's why you had such a good relationship with the fans and the promotion.
Yeah, they're pretty appreciated that that you give it all, put it all in the ring, leave it all in the ring, balls out from the beginning, gong. Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. They really liked the way I fought, win or lose. I put on a show, and two, I guess they also knew that I lived in Japan, I spoke Japanese. All in all, Pride treated me very well.
Now, one of the things that I noticed when I was researching as well was that you took a young man under your wing and you helped train him for MMA, and then he then has gone on to be one of the biggest legends in the smaller weight classes, which was Nurifumi Yamamoto, or as everyone knows him, the Kid. What did you see in him, and how did that come about? First of all, that you were training with him, and did you kind of know what he could go on to be?
First thing was he started training because I was dating his sister at the time, which became my first wife, but I was dating her at the time, and he had a big a problem with the Yakuza in his college. He was in the town and he was fooling around with an air pistol, and he the air pistols in Japan isn't the real dangerous ones that penetrate skin in the US, but it's regular, it hurts, and he shot a Yakuza guy in the face. The guy took down his license plate number, went to his school, chased him around, tried to get him. He had to jump off a third-story balcony to get away. Gave me a call, and because I'm a fighter, and I guess the style of fighting that I have a lot of fans and a lot of backing friends that are part of that world. And I made some calls and took care of it. And what happened after that is he got banned from wrestling for a year because of that incident. And I just suggested that, hey, why don't you come to my gym? Do some jiu-jitsu, do some MMA, and, keep your body moving. And when the wrestling ban is up, you can go back to wrestling. And he did. He was very talented. He picked up the stuff really fast. when the first sparring in jiu-jitsu, most people, when they get into jiu-jitsu and they don't know the technique, they get submitted left and right. But with just his natural ability, with his wrestling, he was avoiding a lot of submissions, and it was kind of impressive. And I kind of felt that, he would become a big star. I didn't know he was going to become as big and as fast as a star that he became, but I knew he had the potential.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, people were raving about him for years, and he's gone on and was definitely one of the biggest names to come out of JAMA, as they say, Japanese mixed martial arts, in recent history. Now, I know Patrick's eager to jump in and ask you a few questions. Are you good to go, Patrick?
Yeah, I'm ready to go, Ray, and thanks again for your time. We really appreciate having you on.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely. So I want to go back a little bit in your career as well. You beat Joe Estes to win the Shooto Light Heavyweight Championship, and you have also avenged your first career loss in doing so. If you could, tell us a little bit about that moment and what that meant to you.
Yeah, the first time I lost to Joe, it was very discouraging for me because I didn't feel he had as good technique than me, but he got into my guard and he basically defended my attack and kept me under him for the whole fight to win a decision. And it was frustrating for me because I felt I was too small, because it actually wasn't the light heavyweight, it was a heavyweight, so it was an unlimited division. Joe was outweighing me by 30 kilos, and
oh wow.
At the time I fought unlimited because I wanted no excuses in the ring. If you fight the lightweight, you beat a lightweight, you win the lightweight title, and then they say, okay, but there's no way you're going to beat a middleweight or a heavyweight. So I didn't want no excuses. I wanted to fight the best, and that's the reason why I went to heavyweight. And I never had problems with power until Joe. And I realized I had to put on some weight. I had to change my game plan. I couldn't play a jiu-jitsu game and just lay on the bottom and get submissions, So it was a big wake-up call for me in the first fight. And in the second fight, it was exciting for me because I put on a little bit of weight and I had a more aggressive game plan. And I felt that, this is time I've made some changes to become a better fighter, and outcome went really well.
Very cool. That's always good to make those adjustments and to see it pay off. Now, when watching a mixed martial arts fight, especially one being fought on the ground, a Japanese crowd would more likely either be silent or they'll be cheering at the transitions. If someone passes from the full guard to half guard, they'll get a round of applause. Yet sometimes fans from other countries would just boo the same match. Why do you think that is?
It's just education of the techniques. That's all it is. People that don't understand the real nitty gritty details of each technique and each movement of the hips and of the passing the guard. They don't appreciate. So it's just not a matter of intelligence, or it's not a matter of being bad or good fans. It's just a matter of being educated on the techniques. That's all it is.
That definitely makes a lot of sense. Now, your last fight was in 2010. You were victorious in that fight. Prior to that, you hadn't fought since 2004. What do you like about where mixed martial arts is at now? And is there anything you wish that was still incorporated to MMA today that perhaps is not?
Okay, well, for the first part of the question, I love the fact that MMA is one of the best, fastest, most exciting sports in the world today. That's my base. That's where I made my name. Although I am retired, just MMA getting bigger is just helping my name getting bigger without even having to fight anymore. So the first part of that question about what I think MMA is doing today is awesome. I love what it's doing today. The second part of the question, what was the second part? What I wished it had in it, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, the only thing is it's a real hard question to answer because I'll sound hypocritical because, one, I love where it's come. I love how big it's become. And the thing that I wish wasn't changed is something that would affect how big it is. I don't like the early stoppages. I don't like how fast they call fights. A guy gets in the ring, and if he's not tapping, I don't think they should stop fights. But it's hypocritical because if I wanted that rule incorporated, not many sponsors would be able to take it. Television would back away from it. You know, the growth of the sport would stop. So I really, the reason why I don't like what the fast stoppage is because martial arts is not a sport. It's a sport of combat where, I mean, you know, it's a sport, but the object of the whole sport is to subdue your opponent, to hurt your opponent. I mean, there's no other sport in the world like that. I mean, if you look at basketball, yeah, there's a lot of elbows and stuff, but the object as you're elbowing your opponent is to get the ball in the hoop. Football is rough, but the object is to get the ball across the line. Mixed martial arts or any type of martial arts is to knock your opponent out. I mean, as much as they want to call it a sport, it's not really a sport when you look at it. So the reason why I don't like the rule of stopping fights early is because in this sport that we have, you have a lot of people like so-called samurais are in it, and the beauty of the martial art is not the wins and the losses. I mean, the KOs are spectacular, but that's not the things that you remember so much. You know, you remember the ones where the heart takes over. You know, where you got these battles that go in there, like Silva Stan when they fought in a Pride just recently. You know how they dropped each other, but they still stood toe to toe.
Yeah,
gassed out, can't even stand up, but he throws a punch that knocks this guy out. You know, I mean, these are the places where a lot of mixed martial arts are being stopped, is right where the heart's going to take over. You know, you got guys on the mount, and, you know, I mean, Igor Vovchanchin, that was the best fight of my life. You know, I learned a lot about myself. I learned about my heart. But in this day, today, if that fight took place, that would not have gone that far. They would have stopped it early, and all the exposure and all the credit that I get of being this modern day samurai would not be happening. And all these people say, you know, that fight was inspiring to them. They wouldn't have that inspiration.
I definitely agree, and I think it is tough that they have to make those concessions to get the sport to where it is. I know a lot of people want to see like the Pride, the soccer kicks to a down opponent, or from a down position, just as far as the purity of the sport goes. But yeah, it definitely makes sense, like you're saying, that they have those rules in place. Now, in 2008, you were in the film Red Belt. How did that opportunity to be in that come about?
Rico Ciparelli from Real American Wrestling, he's the one who contacted me by email, and he asked me if I wanted to be a part of a Hollywood production, and I'm not an actor. I usually would say no to these offers, but I asked him, I wouldn't mind taking a look at it. He sent me the script, and when I saw the script, it didn't seem like I had to do a lot of quote-unquote acting. You know, I had to do an interview, or I had to get filmed in a locker room. You know, things that I had to do was things that I didn't really need to become someone other than myself.
Okay.
Yeah, so I took the opportunity, and damn, it was once in a lifetime opportunity, I think. I mean, I learned, it was so interesting. I mean, there's so much that goes into a Hollywood movie. You appreciate movies more if you're ever on the set, you know?
Yeah, I could only imagine. So would that be something, if there was another opportunity coming up, would you do it again?
Oh yeah, of course.
Awesome. Now, in 2011, when there was the tragic hurricane and tsunami in Japan, you were very active in the relief effort. How is the recovery process going in Japan right now?
Okay, I'm actually currently on my 24th relief trip up north. I've done 24 already. The situation has been changing. The first time I went up was 2 weeks after the tsunami hit. There were still dead bodies laying around. There was absolutely no people in there. The only thing we saw was army trucks here and there. No police. No restricted areas. No Red Cross. There was nothing. that part was a real drastic change on people, getting back on their feet, finding out their family's still alive. They moved into evacuation centers where they lived in cardboard boxes. From that transition, we're in the current position now where they are now in temporary housing. The situation there is as dire as it was because a lot of people aren't being funded by the government. They're supplied a place to live. Red Cross has supplied them with 5 essentials: TV, microwave, washing machine, refrigerator, and rice cooker. So other than that, everyday expenses, they got to take care of themselves, which a lot of these people, there's like 100,000 people displaced in towns that have been running and have already had jobs filled for the last 100 years. And you're not going to find 100,000 new jobs. So a lot of these people, not only are they displaced in a town that's already been active, some of them are 70, 80 years old, and they're not going to be able to find a job. So this relief effort that I'm doing is just bringing the basic essentials to these people: water, tissue, toothbrushes, toothpaste, those kind of stuff.
Wow, you're definitely doing an awesome thing over there, Enson, and we definitely wish the best for the recovery effort in Japan. Now, but before we let you go, one thing I had seen in an interview I thought was really great. You had said that to stand up for yourself and what is right is what creates character. Where does that positive line of thinking coming from?
That's a part of my the samurai spirit, the Yamashi samurai spirit that I kind of gauge my life around. I want to live that Yamato Damashi way, and it's about doing what's right, no matter what the consequences are. If you believe it's right, to a point, I am very extreme on that. I will do what I believe is right, even if it meant death.
Yeah. That's definitely a noble line of thought, and we really appreciate your time today, Enson. We really appreciate you coming on. We wish the best for you and your gyms, and if you have any sponsors you'd like to shout out, please feel free and let everybody know how they can follow you on Facebook and Twitter.
Well, yeah, just look me up on Facebook. Other than that, I'm now currently making bracelets that help fund my movement up north. So you buy a bracelet, you're actually helping the people up north. It's destinyforever.com. Go check it out. It's kind of like my bracelet homepage and my homepage. I have a blog there that I post on. There's pictures. Go check it out. destinyforever.com.
We'll post a link to that on our site as well, Enson. It's been a real pleasure. I was really excited about having you on the show because I do remember watching the old school days, as they say, and I was really looking forward to speaking to you. So thank you very much for giving us your time today, Enson.
Thank you guys doing for the sport that made my life, MMA. So anytime you guys need any assistance, any help, you guys want the Skype call anytime.
Sorry, Enson, you broke up a little bit at the end.
Yeah. You guys are helping the sport big. So anytime you guys need help from me, anything I can do for you guys, don't feel free to contact me anytime.
Oh, that's awesome. Thanks, Enson. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Enson.
All right, man.
Bye.